Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Shack. I believe it is episode number 28, and we have a special guest for you here today. First, where can they find the podcast, Michael?
Why, of course, that would be everywhere that you find podcasts, LT.
I don't know why you just don't spell it out. You know that I'm that guy. For those who don't know, he came in and set it up on my computer for me so I wouldn't have to struggle like I usually do. But anyway, we're good to go. Yeah, so thank you for bringing in another episode of The Shack. 28. What do you guys think? Scott, 28 podcasts.
I know, it's so much better than 27 or 6.
And it's only been 10 years we've been doing this. Can you believe that?
It's only been 3 years, 2019.
Better every time.
We are getting so good at doing these things like week to week to week. Yeah.
Yep.
We always have the intention. The intention is always there. Many a time Nick has gone, hey, are we doing the podcast this week? Like that. So that.
And the resounding answer from LT is no, we're too busy.
No.
Busy, so anyway, we'll get started. Good morning, everybody. My name is LT.
Good to hear you, man, on the inside.
I'm Mikey.
Nick.
Tyler.
Bam.
Brian from Woods Monkey.
Tyler, you know the order this goes in.
I know. He's like, this is not your first time.
Yeah, but the last time we all said it together, so I figured I'd just go ahead and go.
He's like,
Just jump right in there.
Okay, I'm going to go now. Now I'm going to go now. All right. So, guys, today on today's show of The Shack, we have a wonderful friend of ours and a guest. We have known Carleigh Fairchild for a number of years. We'll get into how we met and what she's got going on. But first, you may know her from a television show called Alone. She'll give you the season. And she spent a few nights in the woods. We'll talk about that. And she is a great person. She has a signature knife. She is, in my opinion, a world-class basket maker, which she has just made us an absolutely beautiful basket for the Pout House members to do a giveaway with, which was greatly received. It was a beautiful piece. I love baskets, number one. Elaine loves baskets. She gives basket courses. She has a lot going on. She is into healing arts. She is probably one of the best people that I know of about plant identification, foraging, and things like that. And just an all-around wonderful person. When I first found out about Carleigh and the fact that she was such a tough young lady, I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't do what she was doing. And to be able to be alone by yourself that long, doing an event
86
like
days.
For those of you that were there, because Carleigh, Mike, and I were, and it was hilarious. We were doing a camp. Okay, now we have to tell the story, Mike. You can tell the story.
So we were at Demo Days last year, and Carleigh and Larry and Justin were doing a discussion about their time on Alone, and Larry incorrectly quoted Carleigh's time in the woods, and she politely corrected him under her breath with a cough, and it was quite humorous.
Like what? 30 people just busted out laughing. It was hilarious. Yeah, I think Carleigh was there on about 68 days, and she went. Yeah, that was beautiful. Gotta love Larry. We gotta love Larry too, right? So, but yeah, we're gonna get right into it. So without further ado, Carleigh, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you, everybody, for having me today. It's fun to be on your podcast.
Yeah. Carleigh and I met kind of in an odd fashion. It was the show Alone had been very popular, and we've had some people show up on the show using our knives over the years. Well, we had no idea who she was. And all of a sudden, I get these emails and text messages, and on the forum, on the Pout House forum, there's like, hey, there's this girl. She's using one of your Genesis on, and we kept seeing this over and over and over. And then finally, at one point, I was like, we should reach out to this person, and talk to her a little bit. So basically, I think we ended up sending her an email and just thanking her for using our product on the show, and wishing her luck and all that, because at the time the show was just still going on. And since that date, she has come to the shop. We have developed a signature knife from her. She has actually been up to our shop and taught a basket class here. We have had her to one of our outings where she has done some wilderness walks and talks and different things. And we show up Georgia Bushcraft, get to hang with her at those kind of events where she does talks and basket making. Just an all-around great person. So that's kind of how we first met, and we've been friends ever since. And I definitely consider her one of my dear friends and wish her the best in life. And Carleigh, I know I talked a little bit about you there, but I would love you to tell all our listeners, tell us about Carleigh Fairchild.
Sure. It's fun to hear your side of the story with how we met, because I had no clue who LT Wright Knives was. Like, I was shopping for the right bushcraft knife to take with me for an extended wilderness trip to go on the Alone show, and I found the Genesis at the River's Edge Cutlery store in Ohio while visiting friends and family. And I didn't have time. I didn't care at that time to research who made this knife. I just knew by holding it and then looking at it and then using it before I left that this was the right knife for me. And so when I received the communication, I was like, oh yeah, there's people behind this knife. Who are they? Be great to get to know them. And so it's been great getting to know everybody and developing relationships and sharing products. I love what we've created together, and love that I have a signature knife that I sell on my website, carleighfairchild.com. And I guess a little backstory on me is that I started learning earth skills as a teenager. Went to summer camps for survival skills. And I love the connection that I felt in myself and with other people and with the earth through learning shelter making, fire making, basket making, all the different skills. And that passion has continued into my adult life, and share that passion with other people through teaching workshops. I have a signature course that's called Connecting with Place that I'll be offering in February this year again, or start of next year's February. Excited to revamp it and make it even a bigger transformation for people. When people take this course with me, they walk away transformed. They have more peace, love, joy, and purpose in their life, and a lot less stress and anxiety.
That sounds quite interesting.
That's what I'll say for now.
And you are an Ohio girl growing up, right?
Yes. I grew up in Ohio.
Okay. Yep. Brian is also from Columbus.
Yeah, we're driving out to see
Brian?
my folks Saturday. So hopefully it won't be too cold. It's supposed to be like negative 50. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's out of Ohio. It was always cold.
Winter's coming.
Yeah.
All in this
I grew up in Columbus and spent a lot of time in Southeast Ohio, down in the Hocking Hills.
Yes, which that's a very interesting place in itself, isn't it? Hocking Hills.
It is.
Yeah, very cool. But now you are based out of Asheville, am I right?
Yeah, I live near Asheville, North Carolina now.
Okay. And it's not quite as cold as Columbus, Ohio.
Not the moment, though they're having colder weather too with this storm. Yeah,
Very cool.
I teach classes in different states, and then my signature course is online, so people can take it from wherever they live.
Very cool. Actually, recently you've had a dealer pick up your signature line as well, right?
Yes. Blade HQ carries my knife also.
Yeah, so if you go to her website, carleighfairchild.com, or Blade HQ, you can get her products at there. I know, from my side, I've told you many times, I am a bit of a basket geek. Just the fact that people can, make these things by hand, and what a beautiful basket you just made us. It was fantastic. Thank you very much for that. The guys loved it. It was so cool. So the basket side of things, this is my question to you. Everybody's going to have a few questions for you, but I wanted to ask you about the basket side because I'm always intrigued by that. Where did you gain the interest? And I know people do them from kits. Do you also make them like just go out and forage your basket materials?
Yes, I forage materials and make baskets straight from materials that I've gotten in the wild. And then sometimes I purchase supplies for baskets as well. So the basket I made for you is made out of reed, which is something that I purchased and is commercially made. And I dyed it myself with different dyes.
Oh, yeah.
One of which is black walnut dye.
Oh, nice. Yeah, those are such an interesting thing. That's one of those things to me. I guess it's like some of the other hobbies. That has to be a relaxing thing. Doing the weave and the basketing.
Yes. Sometimes when people are first learning how to make a basket, it's not relaxing because there's a lot going on. You got to hold all these pieces together, and you got to constantly shape the basket from the beginning, and that's tricky to learn, or can be tricky to learn. But once you learn how, I do find it relaxing and something I really enjoy doing. So
Very cool.
I learned basketry skills when I was a teenager initially. And then as a young adult, I did a 6-month basketry apprenticeship program with a woman named Karen Sherwood out in Washington State. And I would say during that time is when I really honed my basketry skills, and I learned all different techniques and different material usage.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and I'm sure it's just like, well, for us knife making, there's so many small details. And I'm sure that the basket side of things, there's just so many people. When you look at the done basket, you have no idea what it took to get to that point sometimes, right?
Yeah. And there's so many micro steps in making one that it takes time to master it or to get good at it.
Oh, very cool. Well, that was my question on baskets. I'm going to have some more questions for you, but I want to let the guys talk a little bit. Scott, do you have something you'd like to question Carleigh about?
I do.
All right.
First, I'm probably not going to say this right because I've never seen this word before. You teach.
NIAZI.
That's it.
She even knew where you were going.
Okay, NIAZI. Let's see, integrative, earth-based healing modality. How would this benefit somebody with autoimmune disease? Because I have someone in my family like that.
Yeah. So NIAZI is all about healing, is an earth-based philosophy of healing. And the base definition of healing is making contact and shifting perspective. So with somebody with autoimmune disease, it would be making contact with that person, hearing some of their story, hearing their symptoms and what isn't working in their life, and asking questions around what do they want different in their life? What do they want help healing? And using those questions as a doorway to walk through and explore the landscape together. NIAZI healing isn't me doing something to somebody else. It's a collaboration together.
Mm-hmm.
And so if somebody wanted to have a session with me, I would recommend either booking a session with me on my website, or if they have questions, they can book a question call with me to discuss if they have questions, wondering if I could help them. They could book
Gotcha.
that complimentary call with me.
Okay.
And then sometimes I may feel like my personal medicine, how I am a healer, may not be the right fit. And then I know a whole bunch of healers. So I would be like, I think I would recommend you give this person a call.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. I'd never heard that or read anything. I was trying to read up on it a little bit on your website there. So seems interesting.
Yeah. It sounded like you were reading something that website there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I took a little snippet.
Is this something that you went somewhere to learn how to do? Like you have a mentor that taught you?
Yeah, I've been studying Nyazii healing for almost the last 8 years. But I went through a school called Wilderness Fusion, which is based out of North Carolina. And they have a 7-year program that you sign up for 1 year at a time. And the first 4 years are all about learning the images and patterns and beliefs about who I am and the stories that have created who I am, to see if they're really helpful in my life. Sometimes there's stories that are holding us back, or beliefs that are holding us back. And so through looking at them closer, can discover and have choice. Ultimately, it's about having more choice around who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Scott, you have anything else on that?
That was my biggie, because, like I said, somebody in the family has had an issue with thyroid and has had it her whole life. And you never know, anything that could help, I'd be willing to help her, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah, it might be worth a call in on that. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mikey, you're up next.
So Carleigh, I know we have had several conversations about some of your classes that you teach, particularly your Connecting with Place class. And I would like you to just give us a little more detail as to what is covered in that class.
Great question. So to say it, what I teach in the Connecting with Place class is the fundamentals of shelter, water, fire, and food in the skills sense. So I'm teaching the concepts that can be applied anywhere you are in the world. For example, with shelter making, I go over the fundamentals of how do we lose heat. We lose heat through exposure, through contact with cold ground, through wind. And so if we know those things, then we can design a shelter with whatever we have around us to protect ourselves, keep ourselves warm, dry. And then through those fundamental skills, I'm also interweaving skills of peace, love, joy, and purpose. And how do we focus on those 4 things in a way that can enhance our daily life? So, for example, there's a lot of stress in this world, a lot of stress, a lot of overwhelm. And I think a lot of us could have more peace in our lives. And so having a daily practice, or I say even daily, but a practice that I can share, is simply taking a moment and feeling your feet on the ground, and then taking a deep breath. And it's simple. But if we remember that, we can take a moment any time of day, anytime we are, to bring a little peace into our lives. And in the Connecting with Place course, I'm teaching that through practices out in nature, because it's easier to practice these skills in nature sometimes than in our daily lives that we're like used to doing things a certain way. So if we take time out and intentionally start a practice, then we can bring that back into our daily life. Do you have any follow-up question on that, Mikey?
I just I love the idea that you are incorporating your knowledge and understanding of survival and looking at it in a broader perspective. And I think that's something that people kind of lose when they hear about the class, because they hear connecting with place and they feel like it's, a grounding course or something like that. So if you kind of expand on that just a little bit more on where you feel the connection between your background in survival and your understanding of the earth comes from.
Yeah, so how do I interweave those things in my course more?
Yes. Yeah.
For example, so you're saying you think people hear about the course and they think it's about survival skills?
No, I think people don't
Or
understand so
opposite.
much that it's about the survival skills, and it's more just, where you are in relation to the earth itself, or, sort of connecting with Gaia, those types of things.
Yes, I would say that for me, the survival skills has been the doorway or the vehicle of that connection that I'm teaching. And so I'm offering during the course, I offer some tangible things for people to do to practice the skills. So I go over the fundamentals of shelter, and then I say, go outside and look at what you have where you live, and with what the materials are that are around you, build a simple shelter that's going to protect you from the elements. With fire skills, I'm going to go over the fundamentals of fire structures, firewood finding, talk about some of the ways of making that spark and that fire. And then, okay, now go out and practice, and then let me know if you have questions.
That sounds good. Mikey, I think we lost your audio.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay, there you are. All right, next up, where is Sammy? Or wait, no, Nick. Nick. We're having a little bit of audio trouble. There he is.
Wait.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're good to go.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, you're up for Carleigh.
Okay, there we go. So, roger that. So, Carleigh, I'm sure you're probably really tired of talking about alone, but I did have a question about that. Yeah, sort of abstract, I guess. All that time, I would imagine there was a lot of introspection and a lot of soul searching, sort of. What really, I don't know, without getting too personal, what kind of thoughts came to mind? I mean, with just all that quiet and being by yourself.
What kind of thoughts came to mind? Like what?
Sorry, I think it cut out there a little bit.
When out there alone for so long?
Yeah.
I mean, everything and nothing. A lot of what I did while out there was constant redirecting from distracting thoughts to ones that kept me present in the moment. So, for example, as I didn't have a lot to eat and my body started consuming itself, to distract from thinking about food, being like, oh, I wish I had a steak right now, or a nice big bowl of popcorn with nutritional yeast on it, or ice cream. I'd like start drinking and I'd be like, oh my gosh, no, Carleigh, you can't Like, those things are not an option right now. You're going to drive yourself crazy thinking about it. Like, okay, what's right around me right now? Something I would like tell myself, like, look around. What do you see right here? What do you feel right now? What do I need to do? What can I do right now? Okay, if I'm hungry, I can go out foraging. Hungry, I can try fishing again. And then try to literally soak in the environment around me to keep me present. And I had a lot of thoughts of like, what do I want in my life? It was a bit, maybe that's an understatement, of a vision quest being out there. You know, instead of a 4-day vision quest, I had an 86-day vision quest. And so I thought about things like, well, there's 9 other people out there on their own surviving. They're all well qualified. I can only do what I can do, and that may not be enough to win the prize. So what can I do? What can I think about that will make it so that I feel I win, even if I don't make it to the last person? That I'm still happy with my experience. And one of the thoughts I had was, well, I could write a book about this down the line. Maybe I could write a book, and maybe that could be a source of income. You know, can I do more teaching? Just brainstorming those ideas. Brainstorming, what kind of life do I want to have? What is important to me? What are my values?
That is extremely interesting. That's really cool. That was a good question, Nick. That was
yeah. And so, side note, I am writing a book, and
I was going to ask you when it came out.
And it maybe will get published next year.
Well, that's
2023.
Great. I have a bit of a side question because you had mentioned something as soon as you started answering this question about your body eating itself. I mean, is that?
I wasn't literally eating like my fingers.
No, I know.
I have 10 fingers.
I know, but that is something I don't know if people actually, if they think that when, a survival situation, because that's not one of the top, food isn't like the top 3 things you think about, right? But all of a sudden, wow, here it is. That was a really interesting, that kind of got you out of the game, right? Was the food thing technically.
Yeah. Yeah. When a person doesn't consume enough calories for the daily, for what you're doing, what your activity level is, then the body starts to consume itself to get those calories.
Right.
And for me, I had such a deficit that over 86 days, I lost 30 pounds, 35 pounds, which is half the amount that some people who go in overweight lose. I had my body was rationing itself well. But ultimately, that was the reason that I got pulled at the end, was because the medical team didn't think it was safe for me to stay out there any longer, that I risked long-term health issues.
Right. Looking back now, and I know you're going to this thing, and I guess you're trying out for the Alone show and getting all this prep time and thought. Was food that high on your priority list? I mean, were you saying to yourself, okay, I gotta be on with getting this food thing figured out? I mean, because most of the time when we think survival, let's be honest, what are we thinking about? Fire, water, shelter, kind of like pretty important, right? With food it is important, but I don't know. Do you understand what I'm asking? Like, did you put food where you thinking, oh my gosh, I got to really think my food through?
So I did, in terms of really honing some trapping options, to be able to get some, like, practicing some new ideas, whether try to get some bigger game with traps potentially. So it was part of my preparation. I had so much going on in, like, the whirlwind from the time I got selected to, like, only 2 or 3 weeks later that I left, that I had the thought, maybe I should try to gain weight. But I was like, I'm so stressed right now. If I can just maintain my weight while doing and running around doing all these things, like, I'm happy with that. I know, in hindsight, I wish I had tried to gain weight. And when I got to go back for Mongolia, I definitely gained weight to try to help. But that worked out so well for me. So
yeah, for some people, I'm not sure if they know you have actually done this twice.
Oh yes, so I got to go back for a second time, and I went to Mongolia like a year later, and I was out there just a few days when I unfortunately I was fishing and trying to set up fishing lines to work for me while I went and worked on my shelter. As one person, it's nice to be able to have 2 tasks going on at the same time. And so I had fishing lines set up in the river, and I came back to check, and there was a fish on. Super exciting. And I go to pull it in, hand over hand, up to this tree where I had the line tied to. And in the process of doing that, the fish was flopping all around, and it actually flopped off the hook, and the hook like whiplashed around, and it went into my hand, under my thumb, in and under my thumb tendon, all the way to the eye of the hook. Like, I felt it, and then I looked, and I saw the hook going further into my hand. At which point,
ouch.
Yeah, it hurt, and in the back of my brain, a little voice was like, "Carleigh, you're done. Like, there's no way you can do this with a fish hook in your hand. It's day 4. You can't, like, this fish hook was in a grasshopper. It was in a fish's mouth. It's metal. You're just asking for all kinds of trouble."
Yep.
Yeah.
But I am a very stubborn, what's another better connotation word there? Resilient.
Perseverance.
Determined.
Not stubborn.
Determined, perseverant person. So I was like, no, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to get this hook out of my hand. And
Which led to one of the best pictures of a Genesis tied to her wrist ever.
I don't even know what I was trying to do, honestly, with that idea. Anything. Trying to do anything that might work. So I was like really overwhelmed with the pain and the shock and the adrenaline. And so I took some time and I went and harvested plants. I went and harvested plantain, which would help draw out any infection if I was able to get the hook out. And I harvested yarrow, which would stop the bleeding if it bled when I got the hook out. During that time, it let me calm down a little. And then I spent the rest of the day trying to get the fish hook out, including lashing the Genesis to my arm to help try to leverage or cut the hook out. And after trying everything I could think of in the moment, I ended up tapping out on day 5.
I know, but you're still tougher than I could have. That still amazes me, and I can't wait for you to write a book on just mental toughness. There's so many things that not just your physical skills that you can do. If someone just follows your story, watches your time, if they know nothing else about you other than your time on alone, just the fact that you must be an extremely mentally strong human being, just straight across the board. And I give you kudos for that, because that a lot of people don't have, and you have it way more than a lot of us. You're in the top percentile there for sure. Yeah. Mental toughness, you win that game.
Thanks. That might
Yeah.
come naturally to me, and through my journey at Wilderness Fusion, learning about Nyazii healing, I have really learned about my own psychology. And in learning about how and why I do things, it helps me work with my own psychology in a way to be able to be mentally tough.
Yeah. You could probably do a 3-day course on just how to mentally tough make us tougher people. I really think so. And that's very interesting to me, because that is one of the things that I've always investigated, is how I become, because when the inside's right, the outside is just a reflection of it. So if you can keep it all going on inside correctly, it's much easier to be an outside person. There's no doubt about that. And you got that. You're winning that game. So well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How many
Well,
people,
Sammy,
that's what I.
I'm sorry.
how many people even get to ever
Ultimately-
be in that situation of I'm going to be alone for over 80 days? It's
Right.
crazy. Just when
I
just
feel very
personally,
lucky that I
when
was able to do that.
when COVID hit and I was off work for 9 weeks, that's never happened in my whole life. Michelle has reminded me that you were completely out of sorts, not being able to go to work, because I've been working since I was 15. I can't even imagine not being able to talk to anybody for that long. Just, I'm going to go out in the woods. That's its own little game right there. Let alone, okay, now I have to find a frog to eat today or something. That's crazy. Kudos to you.
Absolutely. Sammy, that brings us.
86 days, 13 weeks. Sorry to keep over talking.
No, it's hard because we're on a delay. No worries at all. Sammy, do you have a question for Carleigh?
Sam doesn't have any audio.
Hey,
Sammy,
Sammy.
you got no audio, bud.
It sounds like it's Tyler's turn to ask a question.
Uh-oh. Sam, we are audioless, bud. Okay, we're going to move on to Tyler. Tyler, why don't you go ahead with the question? We'll try to get Sam back online. We've probably got to do a reboot.
Oh yeah. So my question is, what would be your best? I guess it'd be your best memory or best trip out, and what would be like your worst?
Great question. How do I want to choose to answer that? Because I could say alone is both of those things.
I bet.
and everybody knows about alone, so maybe I'll think about some other options. I would say another best trip out is another long trip that I did alone, and that was hiking the Pacific Crest Trail out in Washington State. I hiked from the Oregon-Washington border north to the Washington-Canadian border. And I love that trip because I didn't have a lot of backpacking experience, like hardly at all. Like I've spent a lot of times survival skills, but not backpacking. And that trip, the experience of just carrying everything that I needed on my back to live well, as opposed to like survival with nothing, and getting to hike all these mountains, go down through the valleys, and the struggles of exhaustion and pushing myself even to the limit because I was burning way more calories than I was consuming still, even though I had food. There's so many great memories there. One is, like, maybe the highlight was towards the end that I hiked up to the highest point in Washington on the Pacific Crest Trail. And there's a huge thunderstorm rolling in. And I gambled that it was going to blow a different direction so I could stay up on top of this mountain for the night. and I slept out. I gambled well, and the storm indeed did not, it blew away. And I got to sleep out under the stars, and there was a moon that night, and the moonlight lit up clouds below me down in the valley.
Wow.
So it was like a starry night, but the clouds were lit up below me from the moon. It was just really beautiful, peaceful.
Very cool.
And then the
these
worst
pictures are all
memory.
on a calendar.
These pictures are on a calendar. The Carleigh Fairchild calendar coming out sometime soon. All right. I'll add that to my list.
There we go.
I need to hire an assistant. So the worst memory. It always seems like the highs and the lows go together. So for a low point on the Pacific Crest Trail was that my feet hurt, my legs hurt, my back hurt. I was tired. I wanted to give up. I'd hiked 100 miles. Like, there's no way I can hike another 400 miles. Like, I'm toast. And I came so close to giving up. But I called a friend, and they said, slow down. Take some time. You don't have to choose right now whether you're going to give up or not. Like, take care of yourself for a couple days. And so actually I got a hotel for like 2 nights, took like hours-long baths, just rested and ate. And then I was like, I'm still tired, but I think I can keep going a little bit further. I can do this next section till the next trailhead. And if I want to then, I can go home. But let me try one more stretch and let me enjoy it. Instead of like, oh, I've got to hike this many miles. I got to hike 15 miles every day. I'm not going to like, just like pushing myself. I was like, what if I only hike 6 or 8? Like it doesn't, if I have enough food, I can take my time. I can rest and take a nap in the middle of the day. And so I did that. And I was able to bring myself back up from that, like almost giving up moment.
Good deal.
Yep, that is very cool. Sammy, did you get your audio back?
Where's it? I did. I can't hear what you say, but I can ask my question anyhow.
He's going to ask his question and then run back to his station so he can get the answer.
Good thing there's a time delay. Run, Sammy.
Yeah. All right, Sammy, what you got for it?
All right. What is your favorite class to teach and why? Give me a minute. I'll go put my headphones on.
This technology is so great, isn't it?
I want to watch him run back here.
I felt a breeze as he passed my desk.
Sammy only runs when there's cheesecake involved.
That was pretty
I
fast
still
for
don't see
Sam.
him.
And he can't hear us, so we can talk about him for another minute.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. All right, he's back in place, Carleigh.
Survey says?
Carleigh, this is where
Hey,
you say,
favorite
Sam,
class.
what was the question?
Right.
Can you repeat the question?
You need
Sam,
double
what
tongue
was the
back
question?
till
There was
Tuesday.
like, I couldn't, it was garbled. It would only be better if I could see you running behind everybody while you were getting back there.
He's so fast, all you saw was a red blur.
Mhm.
My favorite class to teach is my Connecting with Place class. And that's because I get to work with people more than once. It's over a period of 6 weeks. And so I get to develop more of a relationship with each person. And I get to see the transformation in all of their lives from the beginning of the course to the end of the course.
That's I'll answer for him.
Good. Good.
Yeah, that-
Got any follow-up questions, Sam?
Sam, yeah, I think you have your audio back now. No, probably not. Nope.
Sam wants to know how you feel about
I
cheesecake.
can hear you, but through the wall. So
Relay it, Brian.
Yeah.
Somebody could relay it.
No,
Morse code through the wall.
that's
Sound
cool.
a little
The
dance.
connection-
Tap, 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 tap.
You're connecting with place definitely sounds like an interesting class.
Yes.
And it sounds like you enjoy doing it. That is very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, that brings us to Brian. Brian, you have a question for Carleigh. You guys both are Columbusites. What would you call Columbus people? Columbi?
Hamburgers? No.
Columburgers?
No.
Colombians?
Columburgers.
He said it first. I'm just repeating it.
Columbidians.
Columbites?
Columbites. I don't know.
I think that's a restaurant in Columbus, isn't it?
I
Columbites.
think the proper term is Buckeyes, but that's a.
That's a
There you
cookie.
go. I know
That's a
what
cookie.
Buckeyes.
So, I noticed like the people who are kind of the most effective and the best teachers are the people who learn the most and are always learning new skills, new functions, and kind of have that lifelong learning. And I've seen that with you. I mean, what's something that you're working on for yourself right now?
Great question. I am working on myself right now, learning how to grow a business and learning that I can ask for help to do that and even get business coaching to help me create a business, that I don't have to do it all alone.
I see what you did there.
So
How does the History Channel feel about that response?
So that's what I'm working on right now, is developing like myself in a professional sense. How do I really, like, I know what I do, but that doesn't mean that I have the right words to tell you guys what I do in a way that's understandable and like, oh, this is what, these are the problems I have in my life, and what you do has this solution that might help me. I don't have those words right now, so I'm getting help to hone that.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the whole business side of things, when you have the skills as the hobby side, let's say, before it becomes a professional thing, it's fun. You're out there. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to learn this skill that you're doing and share it with people, and it's a whole lot of fun. When you transition into the business side, and I'm just giving you my knife making experience, it changes things. It doesn't take the fun away, but it puts a challenge in front of you now that you haven't faced. And one is, hey, I just sold this person a knife. That's wonderful. I'm great. Yay, woohoo. Well, I just told him it was the best knife in the world. And he just walked away from my table. It's like, well, I need to sell that guy another knife because I need to stay in business. This is not a hobby anymore. I got to sell knives all the time. So just as you're saying, how to learn to build your skill sets. Well, I'm sorry, you have the skill sets, but to build your skill set on the business side so that when you do interact with a person, that you get that person coming back for all of Carleigh Fairchild's knowledge and classes and things. That is a whole nother learning thing where, when you're spending all that time by yourself and now you're taking this and you're creating that business. One of the things is like throwing all this stuff against the wall and figuring out what sticks, what direction am I going to take all this knowledge that Carleigh Fairchild has. And you're right, it's a challenge. It's exciting. It's scary, right? I mean, it's all there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All those things. It's overwhelming. It's like, where do I focus? So hence the learning. Well, maybe I can ask for help. Somebody who's made businesses before can help me know where to focus my time.
But there's still a lot of fun in that because, again, now you're gaining that new skill set for yourself. So you're making, your knowledge base growing all the time. So that's so cool. So Carleigh, where can everybody find you in the first part of the new year coming up, 2023? What What do you got going on early part of the year?
Early part of the year in mid-January, I'm going to be down in Georgia teaching at get the full name for you. It's one moment, there's a delay, but it's from Black Reparation. The Le Puy de Mont Boucherie, which is a veterans event where they come together and thought of taking the life of animals. And then they have world-class chefs there that are cooking that farm-raised meat. And I am there to bring in my Connecting with Place workshops to help people there connect and find some peace in their lives. So there's a website about that.
Very good.
And then that's what I got going on the first part of the year, and then working on the rest of the year's calendar. But if people want to know what I'm up to, the best thing is to go to my website, carleighfairchild.com, and sign up for my newsletter. I do not send crazy amounts of newsletters. When there's important information to know, I share it. And you can, of course, unsubscribe at any time. But that would be the best way to be in touch or to hear about what I'm doing when my next Connecting with Place course is up for registration, and of course when my book is going to be getting launched.
So the event in Georgia, that's part of Comfort Farms.
Yes, the Comfort Farms.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then naturally
he was cooking at the Georgia Bushcraft.
Oh yeah. I mean, they were basically right next to us, and all weekend, it was ribs and rabbit, and I mean all kinds of amazing stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. They had a lot going on, and I'm sure you'll be adding to your calendar as the year goes on, because you do go out and do events like you were at Georgia Bushcraft teaching this past November. So I'm sure you have a lot of that kind of stuff going on again in the new year as well. So that's very cool. Yeah, you got a lot going on, guys. Definitely check her out. Check out her website at carleighfairchild.com. And she has one of the coolest knives on the planet. And she has her signature knife has a saying on it. Carleigh, why don't you tell them a little bit about the saying that you use over and over? I've heard you say it many, many times.
I might have said it a few times during the call. My pain is never give up. And that stems from so many things in my life and from my time on Alone, not giving up, like wanting to be there as long as I could. And, if I were to add a few more words to that, I would say never give up on your dreams. Whatever your dreams are, they're worth pursuing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is.
And I still love the Genesis.
Well, thank you.
Genesis is my favorite knife still.
And we're glad to make them for you. It's always our pleasure when we get to see your knives come through the shop. We get to, see them lasered up and everything. And I know you have a great relationship with my wife, Elaine. She dearly loves you as well, and she likes talking with you. And we love to watch you grow. We've got to see you on Alone and then start your business and signature knife. And I'm always excited for you, and I'm always wishing you the best. So, guys, please support Carleigh any way you can, either through her courses or through her really cool knives, because she's got that going on too. She's got very interesting stuff. But I can't wait for your book. That I didn't know you were writing one, but I'm quite excited about it. I am a reader, and I like to physically hold personally signed ones. Just saying, when they come out.
Hint, hint.
I love reading them, so I'm looking forward to that.
It will be available for It'll be available for physical and digital copies, for sure.
Good. That is great to know. That is great to know. Well,
I'm
guys,
sure Scott can laser engrave it for you.
I can do that for you, Arthur.
you can laser engrave her signature on
Yes.
the book for me. Well, thank
Yes,
you
I can.
very much, Scott.
I have it
her
loaded
sign.
into the file in the laser machine.
I'm
with the
sure I
laser
can run
for
into
everyone.
her somewhere and she could sign it for me. Thanks for your help, buddy.
I know, but
I know.
just saying.
So, guys, before we let Carleigh go, this is your last chance for any questions about Alone. Oh, Sam, you got to stand up. What are you going to do? You can't
I
say
have a
anything.
question that Sam wanted to ask.
Oh, I'm
Sam
sure.
has emailed a question.
Because you got to go on Alone twice, and very few people get to do that. The time that you spent in Patagonia versus the time that you spent on Mongolia, even though they were vastly different times, the preparation that went into the trips, because you got to know what you were kind of getting into in Mongolia, how did those experiences differ for you?
I would say they were night and day. And when I landed in Mongolia and I was left alone, my mentality went back to how I thought about things on day 86 in Patagonia. It was like, okay, when I am really hungry and tired, what do I need to do? And how do I prepare today for that time? Versus in Patagonia, it was like, what do I need today for today? Or what do I need like this next week? Like I didn't have an understanding of what it would be like after being there for 86 days. So there wasn't a lot of thought put in like focusing outward in that length of time. So I'd say in Patagonia, it was all about living in the moment and taking care of what I needed then. And in Mongolia, it was all like, how do I prepare for the future?
Yeah, that's very cool. Good question, Mikey.
No, Sammy.
Or Sam.
That was the
Thanks,
same
Sam.
question.
That was Sam. Yeah. So, guys, definitely check out CarleighFairchild.com. Carleigh, thank you so very much for spending your morning with us. We greatly appreciate that. And as always, we wish you the best of luck. And you're welcome to stop by anytime when you're up in this area. And hopefully we'll be able to cross your path in 2023 doing something somewhere. You've got a lot of stuff going on, and I'm sure that we will see you.
Yes, thank you all for having some great questions for me today, and look forward to seeing you all in 2023.
All right. Well, you have a Merry Christmas, great Christmas season. Enjoy your time with your family. And guys, thanks for being here today. You can check us out on all the places where podcasts are available, as Mike always says. But this is episode 28, our Carleigh Fairchild episode. We thank her very much. Guys, God bless you and have a wonderful day.
Sam says bye.
Merry Christmas.